to my channel. I am Bekah Jo, aka the Makeup Tax Lady, and today I am so excited, so thrilled. Let's get into the Titanium Foxes Hidden Piece palette. The look that I have on my eyes is my very first time using this palette, and I'm so excited to continue playing with it. I had originally filmed this intro and had a slight little mishap, technology, but we're here again. So I'm sure you've seen the color story of this palette online. I had seen it online and was so enthralled by it. It's a fabulous color story. Having it in person and having done swatches to it, I'm so excited. This is beautiful. The colors, the formulas are beautiful. So today's look is the first look. We've got 4 more coming. The way that I want to do these looks, I may change my mind throughout the video because this is like real time, me filming, coming up with my thoughts, all of that. I think that the way that I want to do this video, the way that I started out the video, is the way that I swatched the shades was in sets of 3. So I started up here, did these 3, etc. So today I used these 3 shades, and I think that the combination of those 3 shades, first of all, 3 shades is a good number of shades for me on the day-to-day, and this is a look for the office. But also it allows us to do some more bizarre color combinations without them getting too crazy or too muddy or any of that. So I'm really excited to get to know this palette and to get it into my collection. Just a quick note, when I opened the palette, the shade Sleeping Water kind of fell out. I was able to repress the shade and it looks okay and it's acting okay, so hopefully it stays together. I did message the owner, Clara, on Instagram, and she very generously refunded me for the cost of that shade, which was so sweet. But I cannot wait to play with this palette some more, and I'm excited to see what we can come up with. Let's get into our first look. I so apologize for losing the first portion of this clip. So here is the first look that I am currently working on with the Titanium Foxes Hidden Piece palette. I have used so far only the shade Trunk and just added that to the outer corner of my eyes on the top lid and lower lash line. We are using this quad today, so Trunk, Desert Dew, and Wandering Thoughts. Next, I'm going to dip into Wandering Thoughts. Okay, I'm liking that. I really just wanted it to be kind of a wash over the lid. So next I'm going to go in with Desert Dew, our beautiful shade here. So I'm going to take that between my fingers just so that I don't get too much on either lid. And I have not laid down a glitter glue or anything. Totally could if you wanted to. Just with a clean, dry brush, I'm just pressing that shade onto my lid. I'm gonna go add mascara, do the final touches, and I'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Here is the final first look with the Titanium Foxes Hidden Piece palette. I think that this turned out so pretty. You guys know that I enjoy a simpler look, especially in the everyday. I don't enjoy overwhelming my face with eyeshadow, and today is an office day, but this little 3 shadow combination, stunning, gorgeous. I love it. I'm obsessed. I'm not an eyeshadow look repeater. This might be a repeated look. Everything performed beautifully today. I am so sorry about losing that first little clip. Trust me, I am frustrated. I think I filmed in like slow-mo and then I ran out of storage, so we are starting over. Thankfully, at least I guess it was on the first clip and I can redo the intro right here, right now. So again, here was today's look using these 3 shades down here, and I'm so excited to get into the next 4 looks. Looks 2 and 3, we're going to do a little bit of a voiceover. So this is look 2. Sorry that the video is just a little bit fuzzy again. And how perfect does this color story fit with my dress? These last 3 shades in the palette are what we used for look 1, so we're going to use the ones right before that for look 2. Starting off with the shade Desert and running this through my crease. This is really the perfect crease transition shade. Next, with Burning Sand, I'm deepening up the outer corner of my eye, and this builds up beautifully. And I love the blend and the combination of these 2 shades. I think it was really soft but really, really pretty. Using a clean big fluffy brush and just blending the edges of everything before going in with the shimmer Your Sky. And oh my goodness. You guys know how I feel about shades like this, and this is so perfect. And this look is such a Bekah Joe summer look. I'm also using Desert as a little bit of a blush, and this turned out so pretty. I was going out and about this day, and this look, this hair, this dress, everything was just so perfect. I loved look number 2. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next, we have look 3, and here's where we're gonna experiment just a little bit with the shimmers, and I'll show you what I mean. We're using a fun combination of colors today, greens and purples, and I really wanted to use both of these shades, but without letting the eye look overwhelm my whole face. So let me show you how these shimmer shades can be manipulated a bit. The shade Sleeping Water is the deepest shimmer shade in the palette, so I'm doing one swatch where it's full on, and I'm showing you just how beautiful this shade is if you use it to its full opacity. You can see the depth, the shift, the sparkle, the texture. Oh, it's so fun. Now we're using the same shade and just lightening up a little bit how we apply it. So I use more tapping motions to kind of spread it out, and you can see that it retains its beautiful texture and quality. And we're going to use that today in its lesser capacity on the outer portion of the eye. You guys know that I love being able to manipulate the way that I use my shades, and this palette, I can do that. We're going to do something very similar with the shade Peace, this beautiful purple shade, to again keep the look from being too overwhelming. And here we are. I used 3 contrasting shades, one of them being very deep, and this is the end of look 3. Let's do look number 4, and for today's look, I have 3 sets of 3 left. I have these 3 here and these 3 here. I think today I want to use the 3 in the top row, and then we've got 1 look left. I'm going to start by dipping into Night Sand with my Refer 01, and I don't want this to be totally fully as deep as it is in the pan. So let's see if we can manipulate the shade a little bit. Now with my Sydney Grace E13, I'm going to dip into Desert Night, this beautiful purple shade. Add this to the outer portion of my eye, but I don't need this to be like super deep and punchy, just to add some contrast to the lid color. Okay, I went back and forth between the Desert Night and Night Sand to blend out everything on the top. I also used just a little bit of translucent powder just to make sure it was all blended the way that I wanted. Now I'm using just a little bit of Desert Night, the purple shade, to add to the lower lash line. Now for our shimmer for today's look, the shade Algae. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. I'm gonna rub that between my fingers because I find that these sheer out so beautifully. Obviously you could keep it more built up, and I may build it up a little bit, but I want to start with more of this level of shimmer. Shearing it out definitely gave it more of a gold look. Also, obviously it's on more of a kind of a yellow matte here in my crease. I'm gonna go back in and build it up just a little bit right in the middle, kind of right where it meets that matte, and then let it be a little more sheer towards the inner corner of my lid with no additional product, just kind of going in and blending the matte with the shimmer. Okay, I'm gonna go do my mascara, blush, lips, and I'll be right back. Here we are. Here is the finished final 4th look with the Hidden Piece palette by Titanium Foxes. Now let's move along to the 5th look. All right, let's get into look number 5 with the Hidden Piece palette. So the trio that we have not yet used is the one right here in the middle, Sunset, Palm, and Oasis. The mattes in this look are bound to be deep, so I'm going to attempt to keep it from getting too deep. I am going into the office today. I have found that these mattes are very blendable and they can be applied more sheerly without getting patchy. So that's what I'm attempting to do. I've been using my Refer 01 brush for this, and it's been working well. So I'm going to take a very light dip into Oasis and see if that can blend out for a crease shade. Generally, I'm happy with that. It's maybe a tad bit patchy, and I could go in and finesse it. It's not that it's patchy, it's clinging maybe just a little bit more where I first put down the shade, but the rest of it has blended out very nicely. I'm gonna cover that up with the shimmer, so I'm not going to stress about that. Next, I'm going in with the shade Palm, and we're gonna use this to deepen up the outer corner. I did dip into the shade Oasis and use that on my lower lash line, concentrating it on the outside corner and then just letting it kind of sheer out as it comes into the inner lower corner. I did also use a clean fluffy brush to kind of blend out all of the matte edges, and here's where we're looking before we add the shimmer. I think it's looking great. So now let's dip into Sunset. This shade is multi-chromatic. It has a little bit of a green flip. Oh my, that's so cool. Clean flat brush, just kind of like pushing that shimmer onto my lid, and back to my clean fluffy brush, just blending out the top edge of all of those shades. I'm gonna go finish this look off and we'll come right back. Hello there, welcome back. Here is the final fifth look with the Hidden Piece palette. The contrast of the green and orangey gold is maybe just a little bit bold for today and for going into the office. I tried to keep everything else a little bit subtle and kind of going with my reddened top, so hopefully, you know, it all works out for today. I think with my schedule today, it'll be just fine. Please let me know which of the 5 looks was your favorite from today's video. I'm glad that I was able to stick with the trios like I had originally set out to do, doing them in the order that I had swatched them 3 shades at a time. I think it really challenged me to come up with some interesting looks. If we look at the palette, we've definitely got blues and greens over here, and then oranges and some purples over here, and intermixing them in a way that would maybe not naturally come to me was a good challenge, was a lot of fun. You could obviously, and I have a zillion more looks that I want to do with this palette. I'm not done with it. Let me know if you'd like to see any more looks or if these 5 are enough for you. But I think you could easily do more monochromatic looks. You could do this warm look. You could stick with these greens or stick with these blues. I think there's a few very flexible shades in the palette, so especially Desert, this light warm pink kind of shade. It's just a little bit deeper than my skin tone, so I wore that as a transition shade and it worked perfectly for that. We also have this shade Trunk, which is a nice deep brown. I think the shade Palm, which is a nice deep green, can really go with a lot of the different shades in the palette. The shade Night Sand is kind of a warm mustardy, so kind of a yellow brown, but it I think really can go with a lot of these shades. You've got 2 more pastel shades, although Wandering Thoughts has a little bit more pigmentation. Drop Up Here is definitely more on the sheer side, but I think that they are so beautiful. We've obviously got some earthiness to ground out this palette. This palette from Titanium Foxes was the one that stood out to me the most. Their other palettes look beautiful, and now I want to get all of them, but this one definitely stood out to me above and beyond the rest of them. I am so delighted to have this palette in my collection. The shade Sleeping Water has held together, and I'm hoping that it does that forever because it's a beautiful shade. I found out with the shade Sleeping Water, as well as the same is probably true with all of the shimmers in here, you can really manipulate them. I mean, I kind of said that with today's matte, that you can kind of shear things out without them getting super patchy. And I think the same is true, although it's a different quality with shimmers, I think the same is true. So I really want to do an experiment. Maybe I'll make it like a quick video, I don't know, a follow-up video. I thought about doing it in this one, but I think I'm going to just make it a separate video, showing you how the shimmer shades can be built up or sheared out, and how they retain the high quality that they are when you shear them out, and they're just fantastic. They look different, and you can wear them either way or somewhere in the middle, but I think they're absolutely beautiful. I have not worn a glitter glue with any of them. I find by the end of the day that there maybe is a little bit missing from my lids, but I don't mind a little wear and tear throughout the day, that's okay. So like I said, let me know which of these 5 looks was your favorite. Have you been intrigued by this palette? Is it totally not on your radar? Is there more content that you'd be interested in seeing on this palette? I know there are a handful of videos out there on the Hidden Piece palette and on Titanium Foxes in general, but I thought that being able to do this video and these looks with you guys would be helpful whether you're inspired by the color story and you just want to do a BYOP, if you're going to keep your eye out for maybe a future sale. I have not seen the sale. I have been told that sometimes the brand Titanium Foxes does sales, so I'm definitely keeping an eye out for that. But yeah, I'm excited for the future of this brand and for having this palette in my collection. I'm so happy. Plus, like, the theme of it, Hidden Piece, I think it's kind of an oasis concept. The packaging is super pretty. The pans are not removable, but c'est la vie. I think that's how they say it. I do think the brand is French. Yes. So the brand is French and the palette came from France. So that's pretty cool. All right, that is everything that I have for today's video. If you liked the video, please give the video a like. If you are new to my channel, I'd love it if you'd consider becoming a subscriber. And if you have any thoughts or comments, please leave those in the comment section down below. I hope to see you in the next one.